overwhelming love and compassion. And being a person from the streets, it's a lot of trust factors that you don't trust anyone, you don't even trust yourself sometimes. And I was given a lot of love by the mini mosque in Elizabeth on Broad Street. Brother Abdul, the merchant who be out in New Brunswick, as well as Brother Ali Jabba of the bigger mosque in Elizabeth, the masjid. From that encounter, they seemed that I had some wisdom about me and I understood a little bit, but I had questions. And like I said, I was overwhelmed, but there was something in me that said, you know what, this is a straight path, and Muhammad is the last prophet. But besides that, I was working my faith, I was living my faith, even though I had nothing. And when I've read and got to understand a little bit that I know about Islam, I read that even the Prophet himself lived very lowly and didn't have much, but he was able to provide and influence other people. Provide and influence other people. Here we go. Well, stand over here. Yeah, excuse me. To provide for other people. So, you know, our pillar is charity. And being raised up in a foster home, encountering having a father, I found a father through Allah, but he had no face. He was just coming to me through the contact of other people, especially the brother Abdul, as I mentioned, and not only that, a brother sitting here before me, brother Eric, you know, he's seen my work and my efforts to what I was doing, and what I'm speaking to is that I encountered homelessness in New Brunswick from about 2003 to almost 31 years old of my own accord, on and off. And part of that was I didn't want to accept what I knew was in my heart. So moving forward, I started to volunteer my day away at Elijah Promise, and then I seen on that level there was still backdoor things happening. There was still people bringing stuff to their doors or to their cars, and you couldn't give seconds out. So I would argue, and I thought I was wrong, and they told me I was wrong, but I was like, no, you should be able to give more than just a portion. So I left that place, and I moved on. I went to Catholic Charities, and I worked as a case manager in Trenton, New Jersey. And in Trenton, New Jersey, homelessness is a problem. And to New Brunswick, it's like Disneyland. New Brunswick is nothing compared to Trenton, or Newark is, the things in New Brunswick is like a good area in Newark or Elizabeth. So what I seen is that while I was homeless, there was people peeking out, trying to help people, but it was very touch and go. It was very like, well, here, I feel bad for you, and let me just walk away. That's not charity. So what I did, because I suffered with these people that were scared to talk to, actually were my brothers and sisters, because they taught me how to survive in the streets. And then furthermore, I come to realize that, you know what, let me get some leftover food, let me get some clothes from a local thrift store, and I started to feed them myself. And when I started to feed them myself, that the municipal court blocked me and said, no, you can't get food. So I came again, and then they shut down the inside of the train station. So when they shut down the inside of the train station, because we had Rutgers students bringing pizza or dining hall food, that I moved and set up a table outside. And when I set up the table outside, I started to do the same thing with food and clothing. But what the homeless didn't know, that I had a background in interviewing people, in doing case management. So I started to connect them to resources. And then slowly but surely, a lot of people got housing, got better quality of life, and then I got some recognition. But nothing really started to like click until I sort of just started to walk out on my faith. And as I started to walk out on my faith, I ran into an interfaith community. It was actually in a Highland Park church. And I started to encounter other Muslim brothers and sisters, especially brother Sammy Kadovich of MBIC. He was a huge influence in my life. He always welcomed me with open arms to the masjid over there. And the beautiful thing, he did an iftar, the interfaith iftar, about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And from that, we kept an initiative, and I believe personally, I believe I influenced what they do today on Fridays is the Huda outreach. And from that, I kept the connections going, and then I reached out to the Muslim Student Association. Before I reached out to the Muslim Student Association, I was only going on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday giving back lunches to the people on the river, Sunday giving a whole meal to people by the train station and sometimes around that area. But in encountering the MSA, I did a speaking engagement, told them my heart, told them what I wish would happen for the homeless community, and then Allah blessed it. And nearly 7 days a week, we was out there giving food, clothing, toiletries, and even resources to housing or things of that nature. And mind you, this is a miracle because we had no funding. We only had compassion and what we were telling we needed to address the social needs of people that were impoverished. So when it comes to New Brunswick, I'm very strange because I'm able to communicate with people on the lowest level, but also at the highest level. So the mayor's office, the Middlesex County people, and my program Shilo, which is called Supporting the Homeless, Innovatively Loving Others, has now been recognized at Middlesex County level as part of the continuum of care. The continuum of care is a place where all these service providers come together and they meet about, there's new housing projects here, there's new government grants here. And for about 7 years, I was trying to figure out where this source of funding is going. Now, prior to this, when I worked in this capacity, I was able to understand and see where the money was coming from. But now that I've focused myself and been able to kind of reach out to different interfaith communities, but especially the Muslim community, the only people that have embodied my heart, and there's an old saying, it's like you attract who you are. It's that the only people who embodied what I really wanted for the homeless community was the Muslim community. And from that, it's been amazing. It's been nothing but short of amazing that, like I said, we've been able to go food, clothing, toiletries, and dramatically lower the numbers of homeless people. But it's even bigger than that. There's people out there with that had HIV. There's people out there that are veterans that didn't know they were eligible to get resources for housing. And each of the individuals that I aforementioned have now been off the street in their house. So a little means a lot, as Shilo was saying, where I was able to take some pasta and some tuna, put it in a pan, and serve 50 people. And then from that, and being recognized and being consistent of that, the Hilton Embassy Suite recognized me, and now the executive chef brings down catered food every Sunday night, 6 trays to give to the men's shelter, the women's shelter, the people by the train station, bag it up into to-go trays, and also give it to people who sleeping outside of the library and the river. Furthermore, even though the students are not here at this moment, we're still actively moving with students that have graduated and are still working with Shilo. So what we want is to actually get the masjid more involved and more community oriented, because you have a beautiful space here. And there's people out there who need to know that Islam is a straight path, and need to know that this is not something you're just doing, this is part of who you are. And to me personally, I'm not perfect, but faith is an action word, and leadership develops hope, but it also influences people. So everyone in here has helped out their mother before, or helped out their son get up the steps, or their daughter. Those simple gestures, you don't think about it, but you do that naturally. But when you translate that and you convey that to a stranger, the blessings in general. You don't think of a reward, you don't even, it's just what you should do, because the human dignity that's being showcased, that the homeless community is always encountering, I can't stand here, I'm loitering over here, oh, I have to buy something here, I have to sleep in a parking deck because there's only 40 beds of a shelter, or there's only one during the very cold winter months, there's only a rotating shelter that happens for 15 men, not women. And also there's a code blue only when it's 22 below or more at a library. And the only reason they opened up the library because they had this homeless gentleman standing before you getting very angry at city council saying you should open up this space for these people to sleep because they're dying outside. And he's witnessed it myself, Brother Eric has witnessed myself, we've had 2 candlelight rituals in the past year and a half. And they could have all been prevented. So presently where Shilo is, we have a public health intern working on a mobile medical outreach. We have a social work intern doing case management with myself. And presently we have a hunger relief team that goes around to local restaurants and then picks teams or works with teams of individuals and distributes this to the locations where the homeless are. So, in essence, my life has been a lot of ups and downs, But throughout it all, I was raised, believe it or not, I was adopted, and I found my birth parents 28 years later. I found my father 28 years later. It didn't work out. My father's in Jenna. But it allowed me to know who I was, but not change the course of what I was doing. And from that, I've been able to just be consistent and spread this message and spread this type of empathy to other people. And as I said, like, just with a simple oven, 30 minutes on a Sunday, I heat up some food. I put some bag lunches together with my 10-year-old daughter, and we head out, and I head out personally in a cargo van and distribute. And the reward is the smile on the other person's face. That's the reward, you know? Or the reward is 2 weeks later, he comes back and says, hey, I got a house, and can I help you serve the homeless? Or the reward is, for instance, like there was a veteran who was out there for 28 years. He lived in a cemetery right next to the Brunswick Public Library. When he got housing, I seen him 2 months later. It looked like he had a makeover. I couldn't even recognize him. The only words out of his mouth, because he was a Puerto Rican gentleman, he said, how can I help my mother in Puerto Rico right now? I almost fainted. I was like, your only concern is your mom now? You've been through everything. So, it's, you know, you don't know. I was just a conduit to the situation because I suffered it. And as I said before, what I said before was a little more poetic, but presently, when you suffer something and you're not removed from the area, personally I felt like I've been left as a beacon to help other people pass through and get a better sense of life, a better sense of quality of life. So even enhancing that, Islam is all about that. Islam is all about moving into the straight path. It's all about recognizing your brothers and sisters and things of that nature. And I'm still learning. I don't know much. I'm very humble. I'm learning how to be humble because, like I said, the streets, they traumatize you. But like I said, from the Brunswick Islamic Center to the Muslim Student Association, hopefully to this place here, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in the name of Allah, because these people are suffering, and the only thing they see of these people is a profit. When you say health sector of New Brunswick, you look at food and clothing and things like that, but the homeless frequent the emergency room all the time. And then they're actually the reason why one of your sons or daughters got their degree, because they went to Elijah Promise and took their blood pressure for 4 years. Now your son's or daughter went on to make $100,000 to millions of dollars, but that homeless person is still there 8 years later, still wanting the same piece of bread or the bag or deodorant, and that's not just in the eyes of Allah. So what Shilo has done is said, we're taking away this referral system and giving a direct service to help people. And from the resources and what I suffered, I've understood on how to help these people in any faction they come. And I think that's it. Thank you for your time. Sure.
If any brothers have any questions, feel free to ask. Yes.
You are more than welcome. We are very pleased to have you in our community. I'm really impressed and touched by your story. Really impressed. We welcome you in our community. There will be a lot of opportunities for us to share and learn from each other. And look forward far better collaborative efforts from both sides to serve the humanity in the future. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Just to follow up in regards to what Brother Walter said, alhamdulillah, I know that a lot of people want to put me on a pedestal, but it's not true. I also want to learn how to be humble as well, inshallah. As you know, brothers and sisters, this community, as he explained before, many homeless people are trying to find the right means of getting the right medical attention. And I'm just going to say straightforward, and if you find it a little bit tactful, I apologize, but remember, this is a community full of doctors, engineers, and a lot of career advancements. Do not tell me that you don't have the resources in your pockets. I am a graduate, 27, and I'm not here to boast my accomplishments. But if I have the minimum of less than $40,000 a year and I'm able to help him, What is it that my elders aren't doing that I'm doing? That doesn't add up. My father always told me that anyone who doesn't do what they're supposed to do, Wallahi Azim, will be questioned about it. And the reason why I'm firm with you is because, sadly, by Allah, you come from a culture that wants to be harsh, that wants to be putting you on the spot. I'm only putting you on the spot for the sake of hab, love. Because these people need that love outside. Although Brother Walter didn't mention it, we've met homeless Muslims. We've met them. They took Shahada a long time ago, and they never received any help. You ask them about this masjid, they don't know about it, it's hidden. You pass by it if you don't know about it. So inshallah khair, if you cannot help, spread the word. If you know a doctor, tell him to talk to us. If you know someone who is willing to give something, anything. Remember Rasulullah said, save yourself from the hellfire, buy